Hello everyone, welcome back to our series on functions in JavaScript. In today's video, we'll be diving into one of the most common and essential methods for defining functions, the function declaration. So, what is function declaration? A function declaration in JavaScript is a way to define function using function keyword. This is the most straightforward way of creating function, and it is the method you'll encounter most often in JavaScript. Let us begin by looking at the syntax for declaring a function. It starts with a function keyword. This keyword is used to define a function. Function name. This is the name of the function which is used to call it later. Make sure to pick meaningful names that describe what the function does. Next, parameters. These are the optional inputs that the function can accept. If your function needs data to work with, you will define parameters inside the parentheses, separated by commas if there are multiple. And lastly, return. This is optional as well. It is used to send the result back to the caller. If you don't use return, the function will return undefined by default. So here is the full example of function. So we have used function keyword. Square is the name of the function. Square function has one parameter, that is number, and this function returns square of number. So we have written return statement here. Now let us discuss some key points about function declaration. First point is named functions. A function declaration must have a name, and this name is how we call the function later in the code. Naming your function descriptively helps make your code more readable and understandable. For example, if you are writing a function that squares up the number, the name should be like square, which would make sense. Next key point is hoisting, which is very interesting. Function declarations are hoisted. This means that in JavaScript, the function declaration is moved to the top of its scope during the compilation phase. So you can actually call a function before it's defined in the code. However, this doesn't apply to other types of function definitions like expression. Let me show you an example. Let us define a function here. The same function will define square with one parameter, number. This function would return square of the number. So return number star number. Now let us call this function before its definition. I am calling the function by using its name, and I'll pass here argument. We will use console.log to print the result. Let us execute the program, and here you see the result. Even though the square is called before the function is defined, it works because the entire function declaration is hoisted to the top. This is one of the key characteristics of function declaration. Next, let us talk about scope. Functions can be declared in two places, globally or locally. Global scope means that a function, when declared outside any other functions or blocks, can be accessed anywhere in your code. And local scope refers to functions declared inside another function or block of code. These functions are only accessible within that function or block, making them local to that scope. Let us see the example. Here, square function is defined outside any other function or block, so it can be accessed from anywhere in your code. Now let us enclose this function in other function. So I am defining here one function named outer, and I will enclose this square function inside outer function. And here we have called the function from outside. Now let us check how it works. As you can see here, it is giving reference error, square is not defined. because interpreter is not able to find square function because it is defined inside some other block. Now let us move this function call inside this outer function. Let us call outer from here, and now let us refresh the page. So here is the result. So if I am defining some function inside other function or some block, it will be accessible only from that function or that block. So here scope of square is local to this outer function. But if you define function outside any code or function, then it will be accessible from anywhere in your code. So in summary, functions declaration in JavaScript are an important and commonly used way to define functions. They are easy to use, can be called before they are defined because of hoisting, and can be scoped globally or locally based on where you define them. The syntax is simple, just use function keyword, provide a name, optional parameters, and return statement if needed. That is for today's video. I hope this clears up how function declarations work. In next video, we'll go over the function expression method. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.